my thoughts were, we can't forget them. They saved our country. I asked the Legion if I could be in their Legion celebration on November the 11th. And they said, if we honor the Métis, we have to honor Germans, Russians, whoever. So it took me 3 years before they would let me in the march to the cenotaph, and that they would let me have a Métis flag. One night in bed, I was thinking, I've seen monuments at small places that honored the veterans. And I thought, why can't we do that at Lac Pelletier to remember our Métis veterans that went to the First World War and the Second World War? Because when they came from the war, they were not recognized by Canada, so they didn't have nothing. When they would come home on leave, and my dad was too old to be a vet to go in the army, so they'd come to my place and they would tell my dad about the war. They'd bring their kit bags, and they were in uniform, and us kids would look in their kit bags, and they had, everything was pressed neatly. Their buttons all had to be polished and shine, and the veterans all had to have short haircuts and always trimmed. But the Métis don't have much whiskers, so they didn't need to do much shaving. When they would come, my dad was so glad to sit up all night and listen to their stories. And it was heart-wrenching for what they went through. And there was Big John Trutchy. He was in the First World War, and he was in the Second World War with his son. But he was getting too old, so he was sent to Prairie, BC. They had a German camp. So while the war was on, the Second World War, he went and guarded that camp. So he didn't go on front lines anymore. And another one was William Gunn, Bill Gunn. He got to Vancouver, and before he got on the ship to go, he got sick. So he wasn't able to go. But he knew so much about horses, and he used horses in the Second World War. No, the First World War. That's how they fought, with horses. So he helped load those horses on the ships to be shipped to war. And that's what William Gundy. They had a training, English training camp in Swift Current. So there was a lot of English soldiers around during the war. And one of our Métis women, she started going with this guy. And so he said, we got to get married. So they got married, and there were 2 English soldiers and these 2 Métis women. They got married. I have the wedding picture. And he went back to war, and when the war was over, he wanted her to come to England, and she wouldn't go. She was scared to go. If she'd have went, she would have lost all her Métis culture. It would have been English for what she would have had there. She had a boy, and that boy got adopted by this English soldier. So he carried the name Leslie Wright, Susie's son. And what I remember about those English soldiers, they had warplanes that they were practicing. My dad, where we farmed and ranched, he'd be doing something with a team of horses, and these planes would come right swooping down on him, and they would scare the daylights out of my dad's horses. That's what they would do to practice in the valley. But they were there for about 3 or 4 years, and they would go to the dances, and that's where this Métis woman met this Englishman. Felt sorry for them when they came home from the war. Their parents had died or grown out of here. There was nobody left in the valley. And so when they came, they had to leave. They went to Alberta, BC, and Swift Current or Saskatchewan. None of them died here. They all died in different places. So that's why I said, I've got to bring them home. So when I got their names here and they're here, I brought them home. That's my feeling, and I was so grateful that we accomplished this. I didn't do it by myself. I had help, and I had lots of help from Walter. Walter was still with us. So I contacted Veterans Canada, and I said, is there any money for us to make a monument? They said, yes, there would be. So I worked hard from there, but I had to work with the park. I said, we want to put up a monument for the Métis veterans. The president of the park said, we can put them in between 2 hills up high. I said, I can't even walk up there. How could we put a monument up there? So we walked around, and I said, I know where I want this monument. We picked this spot, and that's where, after 3 years, they finally agreed to let us have this place. So then I got the funding from Veterans Canada of $22,000. But to have this all together, it cost $44,000. So I had to get busy and collect and write letters and get people to donate and to put these names up here. I got people to award me $50, and that's how I made $22,000. So we got it made and we got it built. So the day of our celebration to unveil the monument, I had not seen it until we unveiled it. What a great day that was. I just said, we brought the Métis Veterans home. This is where they belong, and this is, their names are here. They'll never be forgotten. That was such a good celebration and a good feeling. And November the 11th, we usually can't come here because it's too cold. We have been here once in 10 years to celebrate November 11th. But I don't go to Swift Current Legion anymore. We have our own monument. And then later, people would come to visit, and there was no place to sit down because they had to park over there. So when I saw these benches in a park, I thought, we need to raise some money and buy these benches. And they cost us $2,000 each for these benches. And we raised the money to do that. And last year, the paint was getting faded from the sunshine. So Claire, did you come? And we had family come to help us paint these and then put more varnish so the posts would stay nice. All the work and things I had to do to get it done was all worthwhile. So that's where it's at today. That's it. Thank you.